Wow.
Welcome back to Factually Opinionated. I'm Professor Cinema once again, and with me is Mr. Slipcover himself, Bullet Blake. Today's topic is why the MCU is dead.
Dead.
Go, go ahead and lead us in, Bullet.
Honestly, we just need to let the MCU die. It has run its course. It is over as far as I'm concerned. I have had very little to no interest in the last, I don't know, like 7 or 8 projects that they've put out. Honestly, with I just watched Doctor Strange recently, actually. That didn't help anything. It's been a struggle for a while to watch some of these MCU movies because it's been so long. Like, what was the first one in 2008?
Yep,
right?
Iron Man was 2008.
Iron Man was in 2008, and that movie was fresh, and it was great, and it was a cool, like, portrayal to this Iron Man character that wasn't actually, like, a popular character. Like, I mean, he was popular among its comic book fans, but he wasn't, like, something you'd expect to be this blowout hit of a movie that turned into fucking 30 plus movies now.
Oh yeah,
like in TV shows and everything else. It just needs to die. Honestly, it's so fucking drawn out at this point, and they just can't keep me invested anymore. I would rather just have single solitary movies of each of these characters rather than have something where I have to watch 20 plus movies to know where I'm at in the storyline. And the series, even worse.
It's not just having to watch the movies anymore, because now you've got to watch the TV series, the shows on Disney Plus.
And those weren't good for me. Those didn't do anything extra for me. I think the Vision one, you have to watch that you have to watch that before you watch Doctor Strange. If you don't watch that, you are missing half of the plot behind the Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, and there's so much of the plot that happens in Doctor Strange that if you just watched it without going into that show, you'd be like, well, why is she so obsessed with this?
Yeah, exactly.
Why is she so focused on that? Why does she keep doing that same thing? I don't understand what's happening. What is her motivation for that?
We shouldn't need that. It made the movie Doctor Strange feel blah. And honestly, I think Doctor Strange just missed the mark entirely. Like, the things they could have done with that movie, and they just didn't do them. It was just meh.
Well, it was a mediocre movie. I didn't hate it, but I didn't really like it. It was very much 100% a Sam Raimi film.
Oh, 1,000%. You get Bruce Campbell in there. That's great. That's cool. I like Sam Raimi. I love most of his work. Doctor Strange is not a character that I really care about, and I didn't care for the first Doctor Strange movie. I think that it's just not my character, but that's not the only movie I have issues with. I have issues with everything the MCU has done in the past 5 years.
Well, the biggest issue the biggest praise that I have for Doctor Strange 2 is the fact that they left Kung Fu magic behind. Because the first movie was Kung Fu magic. They had to do like the weird Kung Fu moves to do the magic. Beside the point. But even so, the MCU being dead, and it's I don't know if it's going to be dead or if they just had to figure out how to energize the franchise again, which I read that Feige just brought all of his writers to some retreat for like 2 to 3 weeks to figure out what their new direction is or something. I don't know.
I'd rather them not. I just let it die, okay?
But my big thing is stuff like SheHulk.
Ugh.
They created a series that the writers had never read any of the comics, and it shows. And once every episode had aired, a lot of the writers had come out about saying that they wrote the show specifically to make fun of the people who enjoyed the comics. Which, why are you writing these shows to make fun of the people who really want to see your shows?
I mean, facts. If you're making fun of your fan base, that's just a kick in the nuts. Don't do that. Don't piss off your fans But then again, maybe piss off your fans. Make everyone hate you so we stop getting more of these. It is time to just let it die and start over.
And that's not even, I mean, that's pretty bad about that show, but that's not even the worst part. Okay, and I have to bring this up because that show, Moon Knight, parts of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, some of Doctor Strange, huge swaths of Love and Thunder. Why is the special effects of the Marvel Universe going backwards?
Yeah. Oh, see, I can't get into the shows. I tried the first two. I tried the Vision. What the hell was that called? WandaVision. I tried that. I watched the whole thing. It had nothing that I needed to see. I mean, you need to see it if you're going to watch Doctor Strange, but
right.
It didn't do anything for me. So I watched the Captain America and the Winter Soldier, or
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but I didn't care for that either, and the ending was so corny. And
the best part of that entire show was Sebastian Stan.
Yeah, easily the best part. But he's also a stellar actor.
Dancing Zemo in the club. Like that was a big thing for a while. You remember that?
Yeah, oh yeah. And the movie or that show has its pluses, but it's mostly negatives for me to the point where I didn't have any interest in watching any of the other shows. So if I need the other shows to watch further into this MCU, it's not going to work for me. It's definitely going to be even worse than it is right now, even worse than Doctor Strange, because if they fucking relate to this shit in this Disney Plus series that they're doing, it's not going to work for me. It's just not going to have any. I'm not going to know what's going on. If I didn't watch WandaVision, I would not have known why she's obsessed with these kids and shit. Like, what the fuck?
The crazy thing about Falcon and the Winter Soldier is the only thing that changes within that show compared to the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is the fact that Bucky redeems himself. Like, full-on redemption. Outside of that, Falcon was Captain America before the show. He didn't step down until inside the show, picked it up within the show, and then that doesn't change.
I just thought the whole show turned into, like, it started and then it went super corny. Like, it got.
Well, it's not even that. It's just that show literally has nothing to do with the rest. You could completely delete that from existence, and outside of Bucky's redemption arc, there is no reason for that show to exist. But Moon Knight, which I was really looking forward to.
You don't even know, man. Like, I have the comics for that. I was stoked for it.
And then I watched the first 2 episodes, and the special effects were so bad.
And that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It doesn't make any sense for these special effects to be going this direction. They should be getting better by thousands. Like, it should just be so much better because it's got the power of Disney. And, and they started off great. So why are they getting worse?
Well, there's a little bit of behind the scenes stuff going on with their animators right now. Disney can't keep their animators. They've got lots of people quitting because Disney's not paying them well.
And that doesn't make any sense either. It's a fucking $1 billion company.
Well, that's another big thing. Last year, Disney was $123 billion below its projections. $123 billion with a B dollars. Yes.
Oh, okay. That just goes to show even more that the MCU is dead.
Yes. The MCU is dying. And there's huge parts of the MCU that I brought up this Kevin Feige trip with his writers. They are massively switching gears because they are losing shit tons of money with the projects that they've been doing. Take into account the fact that Disney Plus has operated in the red since it was released. Disney Plus has not made a profit.
Well, Disney Plus has been nothing but a letdown for me. I actually, there was oh, this isn't MCU related, but the I want to say it's the Game Changers or whatever, the Mighty Ducks
The
show.
Mighty Ducks show, yeah.
I was so into that. It was nostalgia out the ass. They brought in the old like legacy players and shit. I was into it. I was so stoked for
You
it. And
loved
then
the
when the
first
season
season.
ended,
You kept telling me to watch it.
yeah, and then I wanted more. And then Emilio Estevez was gone, and that charm is just obliterated. The show is pointless. It's useless. It has nothing. It's just bleh.
I mean, they do have one decent sports show, that one with John Stamos, where he's the basketball coach. That's actually a fun one. But I love John Stamos.
I haven't checked that out yet because like I watch too many shows as it is, and that's another reason why we shouldn't have to watch 30 plus movies to get a whole story.
Yeah. But I mean, you go into like Love and Thunder, the effects were terrible. Like, oh, okay. So the commercial, the Van Damme commercial where he's doing the splits between the two semi trucks, and then when you see that Thor doing the same thing, the effects for Van Damme commercial were better than Love and Thunder's effects for Thor for that.
Oh yeah, I love that commercial. I'm a Van Damme fan, so.
But I mean, they've completely killed the Thor character. Like, Thor has no redeeming qualities whatsoever anymore. He is not a serious character. They've turned him into a joke.
And they used to do a really good job of adding slight pieces of humor into their earlier movies
Oh yeah.
that weren't overwhelming. Like, haha, you're supposed to laugh at this. You're supposed to fucking cry laughing. Like, they somehow switched and done more comedy and less serious plot devices.
Yes.
Like, it's I don't want to have to like crack up at everything, and I just
Not
don't find
everything has
most
to
of
be
it
a
funny.
joke.
Yeah.
But I mean, and then look at some of the other film projects, like once again, Doctor Strange. He isn't even the main character in his own movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't be the only one that figured that out, right?
I think the problem is Doctor Strange isn't like a beloved character with the majority of comic book fans.
He is a very like niche character. He really is. But to have them just sort of drop him down to support character in his own fucking movie, I mean, come on.
They're banking on the name, man. The multiverse, you know, I just think they just dropped the ball with that one so hard that it can't be picked up again. Like, the ball is flat. It's no longer
everything in Phase 4 has fallen flat.
Yeah, everything.
Eternals was terrible.
Ugh.
Like, I was even medicated when I saw that, and it still didn't help that movie. Doctor Strange was just okay. So Phase 4 does have a bright spot. That is No Way Home, Spider-Man No Way Home.
Okay, but I can admit No Way Home was that was a good movie. The Spider-Man movies are good.
Yeah, like, but No Way Home especially, its major big bank was nostalgia. Do you think the movie would be as good without all the nostalgia?
No.
Exactly.
But that's the only thing it had going for it was the Spider-Man. Yeah. All of them. That was crazy cool. It was something they were smart. That was a smart choice. That was 1,000% the right thing to do for that movie.
They gave the fans exactly what they wanted, and it paid off for them. They made like oodles of money off that movie.
Well, that's what they fuck up with. They don't care about the fans to do that most of the time. Most of the time, they just want to make their own movie, and they're convinced that what they come up with is going to be the best option, and it's not 90% of the time.
If they would just sit down and do like big comic storylines, like for Marvel, give Spider-Man, give us Kraven the Hunter.
Oh yeah.
And
I want a Gambit and Bishop movie.
Like, give us a Gambit and Bishop movie.
In fact, they can take that comic book miniseries and make that into a movie, and it's gold. That is what we want. I want some of the comic books that I read turned into a live action movie.
Like remember that 4-issue Gambit series, the one that you stole from me as kids?
Yes.
I'd like to see that 4-issue series turned into an hour-and-a-half movie.
They could literally do that and then do the Gambit and Bishop movie. They could do them both. There you go.
Yeah.
You got two solid, stellar movies that the fans will appreciate.
Or give us a Marvel Knights Ghost Rider and Daredevil.
Ooh.
Give us an honest to God Jonah Hex, like a real Jonah Hex. Well, that's DC, but
that's DC.
Still.
But that Jonah Hex is one of my favorites, but we'll save that for a DC stream.
We'll just say that for a DC stream. I got
not one of my favorite movies. One of my favorite characters. Let's specify that.
Yeah. But I mean, there's so many good storylines that they could pull from. Give us an actual honest to goodness Age of Apocalypse movie or series. Give us a real Dark Phoenix, not like what we got.
One of the movies I was really excited for, Morbius, and what the fuck with that? On our old channel, I even had that as like my most anticipated movie for whatever year it was originally supposed to come out. And it kept getting delayed, which made me a little more nervous. But then it came out, and that's also one of my favorite characters. And it was just fucking trash.
Totally trash. And that whole dance scene with Matt Smith, I don't understand it. What's the point?
Fucking MC uses that fucking clip all the time. It's fucking hilarious, but it's hilarious in all the wrong ways. Like, it's stupid.
But then, they've got so many storylines that they could pull from. I mean, people would even be ecstatic if they decided to do a clone saga for Spider-Man. People hate the story, at least the original story, but people would go gaga if they turned it into a good movie series or a good TV series.
Yeah, I mean, it comes back to like a couple weeks back when we were talking about the Batman, and they just should stick to solitary storylines for their movies instead of focus. They're so hard focused on making everything fit together,
right?
That it deters from the stories because they're so fixated on making it work as a huge overarching universe.
I mean, the problem is they're still going to keep doing it because they're planning on bringing the X-Men in and the Fantastic Four and
Fantastic Four. I mean, I'm not a hater of the original Fantastic Four movie with Alba and all that, and Chris Evans.
I actually really enjoyed the first one.
I like the first one. I think that Fan Four Stick was not good.
It was terrible.
And I think they're going to make the same mistakes with this movie. That one came down a lot to casting, but they're going to make the same mistakes because they don't know how to fix it, and they don't care because they know people will go and see it no matter what.
And I think that's a big thing is the fact that they don't care. Like, who is the guy who directed Iron Man?
Jon Favreau.
Yeah, that's right, Favreau. He told a story once about how when they were doing the original Chris Reeve Superman movies, there was a sign that was hanging up in their shop that stressed verisimilitude, which is make it as real as possible, make it as human as possible, make it as character driven as possible, which the first two Superman movies did very well. And Favreau followed that with Iron Man and with the several other movies that he did after that. And the MCU followed that for at least the first two phases, and a portion of phase 3, not all of it, but a portion of it. And then it just seemed like they didn't care anymore.
Yeah, because it's their excuse to print money, and they don't have to put any real effort into the characters anymore. It's already established, whatever. You got to watch it or else you're not going to finish it. So they could literally do this for the next 100 fucking years on this same kickoff with Iron Man from 2008.
Oh, yeah. But it just shows that once they stopped caring, they started losing money. Like, you can directly correlate the loss in profits that Marvel movies started experiencing when they started not caring anymore.
Well, another thing is they're just, it's this whole idea where they want to be inclusive with everything. Everything has to be in this movie. Everything has to be in that movie. You can't do anything just based on the character alone. They need to have everything in it. It's ruining these characters that started off one way and they've turned them into something else half the time. It's like, why? Why do you do that?
Honestly, I think the best way to deal with the MCU at this point is to just turn it into a series of television shows.
Yeah.
Because the comic books would translate so well to long form factor viewing, which is what a TV show is. So we may not get the special effects that we normally do, but if you were to do 5 to 10 episode seasons of different shows, give me like a Spider-Man show of 5 to 10 episodes so that you can still put enough money into special effects to make it worth watching. And I bet you money that that'll be fantastic as long as it's written well and they cared. Or do that for X-Men. And I think if they would have done that, we wouldn't have gotten a shitty, fucking terrible Dark Phoenix. I hate Dark Phoenix so much. It's so bad.
I mean, I don't know if that's the worst movie they put out, but it's pretty close. The problem that we're having is they're not doing what we want. It's like what they do with video game movies. When you make a video game movie, they just take the character names and make up their own fucking story 90% of the time.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want a new character in Mortal Kombat. I want Uncharted to follow along with the story of the game, almost exactly. And then you'd have a brilliant fucking movie because people loved the story. That's what they could do with comic book movies. They could take the Dark Knight comic book, perfectly put it on screen, and you have a brilliant fucking movie.
I mean, that's what Watchmen did.
Yeah. Oh, Watchmen.
There's so many parts of Watchmen that is just frame for frame
high
with the
class
graphic novel.
That's comic book movie perfection right there.
But yeah, so that's our big rant about the MCU. The MCU either needs to die or change the way it's doing things, or just Disney will lose.
Even reboot it. Reboot it with a plan for 10 movies, and then you're good. You don't have to keep manufacturing stories to fucking intertwine.
Let's do a full reboot so that we can get a universe where we have all the original characters still, because I'd like to see Captain America deal with the X-Men.
Yeah.
Like real Captain America. Or OG Captain America, I guess I should say. Reboot the whole thing and give us that, because now that Disney owns the world, we can have that.
Give us more movies like Deadpool that work on their own.
Yes. Which I think Deadpool is another scramble, because them getting Hugh Jackman to come back for Wolverine, I think that's them trying to save money for Disney, basically. I think that's them trying to make sure that they make money.
It'll work. Everyone's hyped for it, so that's a good choice they're making. Surrounded by many, many bad choices.
We'll find out what happens when it comes out.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's been our rant about the MCU. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, go ahead and click the like button, subscribe. Go over to Bullet's channel, follow along what he does there. He does a lot of fun stuff. And thanks for watching. Please come back.
Wow.